Hello, everyone, and welcome to the best practices for the kindergarten data analysis unit. My name is Kim, and today we will be taking a look at different strategies that we should see in the kindergarten classroom. During this unit, students will be sorting, counting, and categorizing objects based on various attributes. They will also use comparative language to draw conclusions about data and discuss those results using drawings, written numerals, and verbal communication. Students will not be required to create their own graph. So what does this look like in the classroom? Students should have the opportunity to sort and count physical objects before categorizing them. This could be done with shapes, different sized or colored buttons, counting bears, and anything else that you can find within your classroom. After categorizing the objects, students should then be able to record how many of each item there are by writing out the numeral or verbal communication. They should be able to draw a picture of their finding and use comparative language to verbally describe their results. So what does student learning sound like in the classroom? We want students to be engaged in discussions in order to informally assess our students' thinking. We want to hear them saying things like, I sorted the objects by, or there are blank number of objects in this group and blank number of objects in this group, so there are more of this than this. Students can also discuss the different ways they can categorize the objects and what they notice about them. Vocabulary. There are some of the words that we want to introduce to our students during discussions. These words are listed below. Students should hear us using these words, and they should be using these words when describing their thoughts and discussing with their peers. We want to make sure that we are not just putting these on a word wall. While a word wall is important, we want to make sure that students are actually using these words and understanding how and in what ways to use them. This is a great time for us as educators to really emphasize when we hear these discussions, well, this group of objects that you put together, we're going to call that a category. You classified them based on these certain attributes, or you sorted this to collect data, and really making sure that they understand the way the words should be used and the meanings of each of these words. How are students going to demonstrate their understanding throughout this unit? One of the best ways for us to informally assess our students is to listen to their conversations and really engage our students in discussions about their learning. We can use the observation checklist for this unit to give us a guide as to what we should be listening for, and we could also use some of the resources above as more of a formal evidence of learning. So this could include independent tasks, exit tickets, things like that. We just want to make sure that we have some sort of record of our students' knowledge in order for us to tell where our lesson needs to go. And for an exit ticket, we can use that to really drive our instruction the following day. We do want to make sure that we are collecting evidence throughout the unit, though, to make sure that we are meeting the students where they're at and not just continuing the lesson based on what we had planned for that day. We want to make sure that our students are understanding this, and on the flip side, really making sure if they get it right away that we are furthering their thinking and not just keeping them behind because that's what we had planned for that day. So us having these questions planned out and asking those questions and engaging our students in those discussions is a great way for us to identify where our lesson needs to go. Speaking of questions, as we listen to our students' discussions, we can ask some facilitating questions. These questions could include, how did you sort the objects? Which group had the most or least amount of objects? What other ways could you sort these objects? This will help us to further our students' thinking and understand our students' understanding of the content. So, like I said before, having these questions planned out and written down is a great way for us to have them on hand and really be able to ask our students in the moment the appropriate question for what they need right now. Another option would be to write these questions on an anchor chart. And for those kiddos who are ready, they can use these questions when discussing with their peers, and that way they already know what types of questions they should be asking and answering as well. There are multiple ways to get parents involved with data analysis at home. Students can collect toys, cereals, buttons, coins, anything else that they can find around their house, and categorize and sort them based on various attributes. Above are some examples of ways to do this. Parents can also ask some of the questions on the previous slide to help facilitate their students' thinking and engage in discussions with them. That's all for this unit. Thank you so much for tuning in. We're glad you came, and hopefully this helped.